Got a mouthful and a half to talk about for this group right here. Probably one of the most amazing records, an amazing record that was also very much underappreciated in the 80s. At number 7 on my fantasy playlist, June 13th, 1986, GTR, short for guitar, When the Heart Rules the Mind. Man, I love it when the bridge kicks in with this Oriental music that just swells up right at you, and then the lead singer, he starts singing a little bit. I believe it's Max Bacon. It was just one awesome record. That's all there is to it. When the Heart Rules the Mind, definitely one of the arena anthems of the 80s. GTR, When the Heart Rules the Mind. It was the brainchild of progressive rock and rollers. Steve Howe, formerly of Yes and Asia. He left Asia in 1985, and there was Steve Hackett of Genesis. Steve Hackett had his reasons for joining up into this project. Steve Hackett of Genesis, he had his doubts. He had his doubts about this project. He thought, well, I don't know about this. But I put out a couple of albums, solo albums, that didn't do too well. One of them was all classical, all acoustic classical guitar album. It's called Bay of Kings. Didn't do too well. And I really want to pursue my solo projects, my acoustic solo projects. But if I join this band, it'll keep me in the big leagues of rock and rollers, and it'll help me finance my future solo projects. That was the thinking of Steve Hackett at the time. Three other guys joined the group, including Jonathan Mover, American. He was a drummer. He later played with Joe Satriani and Steve Vai. Remember Steve Vai from back in the day? Not very famous as far as top 40 goes, but if you're a big guitar fan, if you're a big hard rock or guitar fan, you remember Steve Vai from back in the day. And another guy, not Paul, but Phil Spalding on guitars. He was guitarist and singer Max Bacon, and formed the group GTR. Now here's one of the concepts of GTR. Steve Hackett and Steve Howe, they wanted to get away from keyboard synthesizers. That was one of the reasons why Howe left Asia. He was dissatisfied with their heavy use of keyboard synthesizers. Remember, only time would tell how the keyboard synthesizer would just go up like a atomic mushroom, a series of atomic mushrooms, clouds, just like that, sonic mushroom clouds going up. And, only time would tell that those outbursts of synthesizers. Well, Steve Howe said, GTR is not going to be about this. Now here comes the technical details. The sound the original sound that GTR created. Bear with me on this. Yes. I love these technical details. I just got to get better at being a little bit more clear about it. Steve Hackett's and Steve Howe's guitars, they were outfitted with Roland guitar synthesizer pickups. These pickups, they would take the string vibrations, the vibrations of the strings that pick up these string vibrations from the guitars. They would convert them into MIDI signals. These signals would trigger rack synthesizers. Not keyboards, but rack synthesizers. Although I have to admit, I'm not really sure what a rack synthesizer is. But the MIDI signal, you get really technical on this. But basically, MIDI stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface. And what it is a protocol, or it's a connector. What these signals do is they communicate between electronic instruments and computers. They communicate with each other, and each MIDI signal, a signal link, can carry up to 16 channels of information. And these 16 channels can be separated out into different outlets, routed through different or separate instruments or outlets. I hope I was clear on that. Actually, I did better than I thought I would. I like doing this. I'm just getting practiced up on it. Anyway, I guess that's it. They released one album. Steve Hackett, he had his doubts about the project, and the group did run into some financial problems. They lasted only for a couple of years. That's it. One album. When the Heart Rules the Mind went to number 14. It's a lost 45. Gosh, God, one of the best records of the 80s is just underappreciated. Absolutely brilliant. Well, that's it. GTR, When the Heart Rules the Mind, at number 7 on my fantasy playlist, June 13th, 1986.